Good evening everybody and welcome to tonight's presentation of race number 2 of the F1 2017 Esports qualifying here at the Bahrain International Circuit, and it's great to be back once again after an amazing first round in China. I'm Ryan L83, and joining me in the commentary booth once again is Matt212. And Matt, from last week we saw some interesting surprises from China, and hopefully tonight should be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, massive changes all up and down the field. You know, so many different changes for the lead, as well as drivers going all the way up through the field. ESR Ryan being one of those drivers. But yeah, the Bahrain International Circuit, definitely lots of opportunities for overtaking this evening, and hopefully we can see just as much action as we did during week 1.
We did indeed, and we've got 29 laps tonight, as you can see, 15 corners this one, but you'll see that more in the lap guide very shortly. But Matt, very quickly before we go into the lap guide, the strategy tonight, you can see we've got the super softs, the softs and the mediums available, and of course if it ever does rain in Bahrain, we've got the inters and the wet tyres. So what are you going to be seeing tonight with these drivers in terms of strategy?
I think for most of the front runners it's almost guaranteed have to be a 2-stop, but if you start outside the top 10, the 1-stop is just about possible if you go on a set of the mediums for the start. I'd recommend then go for a set of the softs during the second stint and just try to make it to the end, but we might see a couple of drivers try and risk the super softs.
Indeed, and now we'll present to you, while we get qualifying, we'll get the lobby all set up and ready to go. Here is a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit being commentated by myself, and we'll see you in qualifying. Tonight's lap guide, we head to Bahrain, the Sakhir International Circuit, for race 2 of a very crucial round of the F1 2017 Esports qualifying, where this is very crucial for some drivers as they want to try and have a great performance here if they want to stand a chance of getting through to the semi-finals in London in a few weeks' time. But Sakhir, a brilliant track this one, and we're going to be under the lights here for 29 laps of this Grand Prix. And as I mentioned in the intro, we've got 1 or 2 pit stops here that some drivers may take some tactical risks to try and get themselves up onto the top step of the podium here. We've got 2 DRS zones, as I mentioned, 1 on the main straight and 1 on the back straight, as you can see there, and it should be a very interesting one. But now, let's go to the hot lap then, driven by myself. So we're on board with Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari as we go in to the final 2 corners, then 14 and 15. You've got to get a very good exit out of here to get a great start to your qualifying lap. Then down the long straight then, DRS deployed there, first of 2 that we mentioned at the start of this lap guide, hitting over 200 miles an hour, a great chance to overtake, going to the heavy braking zone of turn 1, braking just before the 100 meter board, dropping it down to 2nd gear, and then short shifting it up the gears here, up to 5th, just to preserve the rear tyres and not lose the back end out of that one, because it is very crucial. Coming then down towards turn 4, another overtaking opportunity for these drivers. Going to be braking just after the 100 meter board. Got to take it there very cautiously in 4th gear and then short shift it up to save the rear tyres. Going through my favourite section of the circuit, turns 5, 6 and 7. Dropping it to 5th gear, then short shifting it up to 6th gear. Just a little bit of oversteer there, going to the heavy braking of turn 8 here. Got to get close to that curb as much as possible, and then a good exit is crucial as well. Coming towards the treacherous turns 9 and 10, easily able here to lock your tyres up here. So very cautious these drivers will take so they don't ruin their front left tyre. Exit's crucial as well onto the back straight where the DRS will be applied yet again. Coming down here, just going nearly just under 200 miles an hour here. Coming into turn 11, braking just before 50 there into 4th gear, and then short shifting it as well so you don't run too wide as well. Going through 12 completely flat, and then 13 coming up very closely here. A very crucial corner to get right here, and one that some drivers may make a little bit of a mistake. You've got to clip the curve there just a tiny bit there and not put the power on too early or lose that back end there. Coming down then towards turn 14 and 15, as I mentioned at the start of the lap, very crucial to get this one right as well if you're defending from DRS or trying to get past someone with DRS as well. And that has been a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit for round 2 of the F1 2017 Esports qualifying series. So here we are then, we're here in qualifying right now for round 2 of the F1 2017 Esports qualifying series, and Matt has joined me in the booth. And Matt, we've got a few drivers out on the circuit right now, and everyone, it's all okay, which is the main priority, so we don't have any issues from last week.
Yeah, very, very nice that we can get into this one a little bit quicker than we did last time. But, you know, some issues always, you know, bound to happen at the start. But, yeah, hoping this qualifying is very, very exciting. A lot of these guys will have actually been having to run laps around this circuit this week for the AOR time trial and evaluation race submissions as well. So a lot of these guys will definitely know this circuit by now. Know it like the back of their hand, I think is the right way to describe it.
Indeed, and I had an experience with this last night on the PC side, and it was interesting strategies from the whole field, and I think we'll see a mixed bag tonight at Bahrain. And we want to say hopefully there won't be any issues tonight. Codemasters did release a patch, so obviously that's fantastic. And if you want to get involved with tonight's broadcast, guys, then make sure to use the handle F1 Esports on Twitter, and we'll try and read some out during tonight's broadcast from qualifying to the race as well. And we'll quickly go through the standings if you just missed last week in China. Bamley won the race last time out in China, and he leads the way with NLR Evo in second place on 18, and Alonso in that final position to qualify in P3. And then TRL Limitless, ESR Ryan complete the top 5 with Flying Thing in 6th, Raikkonen in 7th, Noble 9th, 8th, Tiametmarduk UK in 9th, and XXMGXxSoKinKy in 10th place. And the rest of the field, as I'm having a little bit of issues here, there we go. Danny, Knopels, MikeMarshmallow, who's not here again this week, Coldhead, Hayden, Murphy, and the Icebergs complete your 17-man field here in on the Xbox One.
But yeah, obviously going to be interesting to see this week how all these guys do fare. You know, they've had the first week. Some of, you know, the start of the series nerves may have gone away for a lot of these drivers. So now it'll be down to business and trying to get into the top 3 overall after the 3 rounds of this series. For those that aren't aware, the top 3 from each platform do therefore get a spot in the F1 2017 Esports semi-finals, which is held in London in just a few weeks' time. You know, it's a golden opportunity for any of these guys, you know, really try and get their name out there and just show that they are one of the best in the world when it comes to F1.
Indeed, we're on board with Coldhead in the Williams as he's coming into the final sector then, and as I said in the lap guide, very crucial this corner to get right here. It's a bit of a weird corner, I've got to say, and you've got to hit that apex and get a good exit here, because this is where the detection zone is just there where Coldhead just went over the line. 100 metres, he's going to have a little bit of a poor exit actually, as he's going to go up to the line. Is this going to be an actual lap? We're about to see. It isn't. He's just started a lap there, and he's apparently 11 seconds off the pace, which is interesting already. We'll see if we can find our race winner from last week. There he is, Bamley, currently leading the championship then in the Renault. And Matt, he was pretty impressive, I've got to say, last week in China in the very mixed conditions as well. Would you see him again being at the top of the field today and go for 2 for 2?
Oh, you can't discount Bamley. You know, he's been so quick in the early stages of this season. You know, he said he's got a point to prove this series. He is hungry to try and not only just get through to the semi-finals, but he is hungry just to try and win as many races as he can, prove himself as one of the best of the best. So it's going to be brilliant to see how he's going to fare this week. But yeah, I think we could see him fighting right at the very front once again.
Indeed, and we will apologise as well. The timings may be a bit off there with the standings. As you can see, Bamley is going all over the place. There is a little bit of an issue, and Codemasters will be bringing this in as a patch at some point, as he's up to P5 at the minute. So I don't know if you're getting the same issues as I'm experiencing, Matt, but on board with the Flying Finn, and he is definitely to keep an eye on tonight. I think he's going to be the dark horse tonight at Bahrain, and historically he's done pretty well around here in the AOR Xbox Leagues in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I would just also like to add that Flying Finn is actually on provisional pole at the moment with a 1 minute 28.3. Fantastic lap by him. Bamley is P2 with a 1 minute 28.5. So the top 3 of TRL Limitless, EP3 Murphy, and VBR Raikkonen are yet to do their laps. Interesting though that NLR Evo and STSF1 Alonso have opted to go for a set of the soft tyres. Now, strategy around this circuit, I think we can both agree, is going to be very interesting. The one stop is possible as Flying Finn goes on for a 1 minute 28.2 there. But as I was saying, the one stop is possible, but it is a very hard push to try and make it work. But it's going to be interesting. You know, we saw ESR Ryan last week able to pull it out the bag, starting from outside the top 10. Maybe, just maybe, we could see a repeat of that from another driver this week.
Indeed, I think round here, from what I experienced last night, people outside the top 10 can go for that one-stop strategy going on either the soft or the medium compound tyres, but I think the top runners will definitely be doing a two-stop strategy of the set of super softs, then potentially two softs or two super softs. We'll have to wait and see what these guys do and how their cars are set up as well, because it can affect tyre wear. And as I mentioned, the rears get a beating around here, especially in that middle sector. On board here with TRL Limitless in the Sauber, and one I was actually expecting to be up there fighting for the win, and I think he just had a bit of a bad strategy call, I think, with the mixed conditions. But we won't see any of that this evening because it is clear skies throughout the whole of qualifying and the race, as it is Bahrain. But you never know, there could be a little storm coming brewing out a little bit, but it's extremely doubtful right now, as I think he's just coming into the pits, and if I'm correct, Matt, he's P5.
He is, I think, actually in P3, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think VBR Raikkonen and EP3 Murphy are yet to do a lap. If I'm not mistaken, JD might have actually got on a provisional pole for a few seconds, but he is now P3. Give a quick update. The Flying Finn is pole still on a 1 minute 28.2. Then you've got Bamley on a 1 minute 28.315, and then JD on a 1 minute 28.356. So that's the top three at the moment. And next up is Danny M7, a couple of tenths off the top three at the moment. Noble is on a 1 minute 28.6, and then NLR Evo on a set the soft tyres is on a 1 minute 29.1. That is a very, very quick lap for the set of the softs right now.
Indeed, very, very impressive. And if he gets into that top 10, then obviously he will start on those used tyres for the start, and it could work for him or not. We'll have to wait and see how that one goes as Leigh comes into the pits then, and we'll see if there's anyone else. I think most of the people will be heading back to the pits, getting a fresh banging set of new tyres, as Danny M7 will leave the pits in the Ferrari. And yeah, some nice to see. We're going to see some interesting battles up and down the field. And most likely, Matt, some of these guys, like the likes of Noble, Finn, have got to really stand out tonight if they've got any realistic chances of getting into that top three qualifying spot. Yeah,
Noble and Finn, unfortunately last week, didn't really get off to the start they would have wanted in this series. So, you know, they're already quite a way back, but with the way the F1 point system works nowadays, it is exactly the same as the real-life F1 point system. It does mean that, you know, coming back from a couple of poor results is definitely possible. Less likely when it is just a three-race season nonetheless, but still, you know, those two far from at it at the moment, and they showed good signs of pace still in China. I don't think it was probably the fairest representation of everyone's raw pace, just because of how crazy a race it was.
Indeed, and we're going to jump on board as we see Danny warming his tyres up with the man who, in my opinion, deserved driver of the day last week. It was ESR Ryan with a stelling, brilliant strategy call with the mixed conditions and in the Red Bull. And definitely want to keep an eye on. He's on the soft tyres, as you can see, Matt, at the minute. And definitely a risk if he wants to get anywhere close to the top 10. But if he doesn't, he can go on whatever tyre he wants, of course. But how impressive would you say Ryan was last week?
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant to see him. You know, we'd all been talking about, you know, JD, Noble, Finn, all fighting right at the very front. But for him, you know, he was able to mix up with the big boys, if you will, in this series. So, you know, that can only boost his confidence coming into the second race of the series. You know, it'll fill him with confidence. Maybe he might try and go for the same strategy again as he comes down in towards the final corner on that set of softs. We'll stay on board with him now as he comes down towards the line. But yeah, that must have filled him with so much confidence as he goes up into P6. A very, very solid lap for that set of the soft tyres there. But yeah, so much confidence must have been boosted for so many of these guys. And all it does is mean that the fighting is even closer. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what we want to see. Just good, close racing.
Indeed, and if you want to get involved with tonight's broadcast, again on Twitter, use the hashtag F1 Esports, and we've got a few people in there already. We've got a few Ben fans in the chat. Whoopcap has given the best of luck to Ben tonight. We've also got Robbie going good luck to everyone in round 2 of the Xbox One Esports tonight. Hope it's a great race. Thank you so much. A question from Team Brook that I'm not too sure if this is going to be true or not. If Bamley wins the league race tonight, will 4th place in the league qualify, as Dizzy Cupid is or Bamley is already in the finals? I'm not 100% sure if that's regarding the other way of qualifying. I think you know what I mean by this, Matt.
I do know, yes.
I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think we need to get that clarified.
If I'm not sorry to interrupt. If I'm not mistaken, What will happen is, effectively, if he gets through in the top 3 from this event, then his times at Monza will just be void, and it will move to the 6th fastest man from there. So this is sort of an override, if you will. I'm pretty certain that's what the Formula 1 site said. This is sort of an override in comparison to that series, if you will. So if you get through here, then it is someone in the time trial that gets through, not someone else from this series.
Indeed, and a lot of people are asking where Ben is. We'll explain in a minute where he is, and we're watching on board as there's a Renault just lost at turn 1 there. Just maybe distracted Noble a tiny bit here. The legend himself in AOR, the most successful AOR champion on the Xbox One side, or the Xbox side, as he's going in towards turns 5, 6 and 7 right now. And he really needs to get at least a top 5 to stand a chance of keeping his qualifying hopes alive, as he's got a Ferrari ahead of him here, so hopefully he doesn't catch up that quickly as the timer runs out in qualifying. And this is their last laps. They've got to nail these ones now if they want to get up the field right now, as there's a little bit of a lock-up there going into that double left-hander, which is very vulnerable to lock-ups on the front left-hand tyre. And he deploys the DRS straight away, coming down the back straight, and he's getting a little bit close to that Ferrari, so hopefully the dirty air won't affect him here, Matt. And let's see if he gets pole.
Yeah, going to be interested to see. The Ferrari in front of him in question is NLR Evo, so certainly not someone that's, if anything, going to be too much slower than Noble. But the dirty air in this game can affect the car quite a lot. You know, obviously these cars got so much more downforce, so you almost notice it even more when the downforce, you know, sort of isn't there as much as you would probably like. But Noble out through the final corner there, a very, very tidy run from him as he comes down towards the line. NLR Evo goes pole, but Noble is only going to go P5. 3/10 off pole position there, if I'm not mistaken. So a very, very tight field moving into the second round of the season. But yeah, unfortunate for Noble, as he really has a point to prove this evening.
Indeed, we're now on board with the Flying Finn, who provided probably one of the greatest overtakes you'll ever see on the Xbox One side of things last week in China, on Noble actually, which was quite a great thing to see those two great legends of AOR fighting with each other as he comes out the final corner, Matt. And is he going to get up the field? He's currently in 14th on my screen, and he goes pole, I think, if you want to clarify that for me, Matt.
Yes, he does. He does go pole on that lap with a 1 minute 28 dead. That puts him about a 10th quicker, sorry, 22 thousandths, sorry, quicker than NRL Evo here. But JD still just about got through with 1 lap to go, so maybe we could see a little bit. No, he's backed off.
Bailed off.
He's ran out of fuel. He may have run out of fuel, yeah.
And he's the last man as he's going to head into the pits. And yeah, Matt, if you want to explain to the viewers where Ben is this evening, and you can also take us through the qualifying standings for the second round here in Bahrain.
So yeah, first of all, we'll get into Ben. We're pretty certain he has overslept, unfortunately. One of the joys of being probably in the wrong continent for this series. So we can only apologise for all those that came out to watch Ben there. A little bit unfortunate for him, but as you were saying, yeah, Flying Finn has taken pole with a 1 minute 28.038. A very, very quick lap from him. NRL Evo in P2 with a 1 minute 28.060. JD in P3 on a 1 minute 28.1. Danny M7, actually someone that was really gutted that he couldn't race last week, on a 1 minute 28.2. Then we've got Bam Leigh, the first race winner, on a 1 minute 28.3. So 3/10 separated the top 6 there, as Noble was half a tenth off Leigh. Coldhead in P7 with a 1 minute 29 dead, and then STSF1 Alonso a little bit further off the pace there. Quite surprising from him. He's on a set of the soft tyres there, so that's a very, very competitive lap from STSF1 Alonso. Going to be interesting to see how he does fare in the race. He will be the only guy from the top 10 on that set of soft tyres there, so it looks, I'd be surprised if he didn't go for a one-stopper.
Yes, I'm very impressed he's a second off the pole time as well, and we don't know what the sort of average range is between the super soft and the soft, so that is a very impressive time for Alonso. And you've got to say straight off the bat, he could be a potential contender for tonight's victory if he does that one-stop strategy. And then you've got to think about the rest of the field as well. You've got Murphy, Hayden, Ryan, XXMGXxSoKinKy and Raikkonen, who could all do the same one-stop strategy. And unfortunately, I think Hayden's just disconnected, unfortunately. So hopefully he can get back in quickly and get going again. So all we're doing now is we're just waiting now before the drivers get onto the grid. And before we go on to that, Matt, who's your money on for this race?
Oh, it's going to be a tough one. You know, Flying Finn has come at the blocks running so far this evening, but NLR Evo did a fantastic recovery drive last week. I think he's really been almost an underdog in this series, if you will. You know, everyone, don't get me wrong, thinks he is massively, massively quick, but he surprised a lot of people, myself included. He was my personal driver of the day last week, so it's going to be interesting to see what he is able to do from P2 on the grid. But STSF1 Alonso could come through and win this as well, but I don't want to hedge my bets too much. Ryan, who are you predicting?
Well, I spoke to you earlier about this one, and I'm still sticking with my man. I'm going for the Flying Finn for this one. On pole, he's just got to drive away and hope he doesn't have any sort of issues here, as I think now we are on the grid then. The lights are on. Race 2 of the F1 Esports Qualifying Series is away here in Bahrain, and it's a good start from our pole sitter, the Flying Finn. And who's that in the Ferrari? It is Evo, and I think he's going to take the lead, Matt, going into turn 1, and he does as well. Good start there, and actually Finn's going to try and hold it around the outside, going for out of turn 2, and he does defend brilliantly there. And you got to say as well, TRL Limitless still in there with a fight of getting up to second place. But Matt, clean start from the whole field, which is excellent to see.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. You know, that means we've got all these guys still within a good shot, but Finn runs a little bit wide there. Evo might be able to look down the inside there. No, he backs out of that. Don't really want to be going for too risky moves in the early stage of the race. But yeah, Limitless is all over the back of the pair of them at the moment, so perhaps we could see a little bit from him. We got Bamley, Race 1's winner as well, up in P4 now, and it looks like this top 4 have almost made a tiny bit of a breakaway nice and early. With Danny M7 in P5, you know, he'll hope to try and cling on to those guys for now. Noble is in P6 after the start of the race, with STSF1 Alonso on that set of the soft tyres. He's actually moved up positions as well there, as we've got the McLaren, I think, of EP3 Murphy and Coldhead going side by side behind. I think EP3 Murphy has just about moved up into P8 of the race for now there, so a little bit changing around throughout the field in the first lap of that race, but brilliant to see, you know, everyone was able to keep it nice and clean right at the very start.
Indeed, as at the back of Murphy actually is a Toro Rosso. He's going to make it too wide nearly down the straight, and it's going to be very, very close. I don't know who it is. We're just going to try and go on board. It's VBR Raikkonen, and he goes down the middle. Both of them, a little bit of a risky one, that one, I've got to say. But he moves up to 8th place, and apologies for the switch of the camera there. That was a little bit unfortunate for me to do that. It's the commentator's curse for me once again. But as you said, I think the top 7 have pulled out a massive gap to 8th place now. And I've got to say, Alonso, if he keeps up with these guys, Matt, these top 6, he's in with a great shout here tonight. Yeah,
he's definitely, you know, if he can keep, if these guys fight, this is absolutely brilliant for Alonso there. One other driver right behind him I would like to talk about, VBR Raikkonen. If I'm not mistaken, he started last on the grid, and he finds himself already up into P8 of the race there. So that is a fantastic start for him as well. And just like Alonso ahead of him, as he runs massively, massively wide through the exit of the S section, he is also on the set of the soft tyres as well. So these two, you know, they probably won't want to fight with each other, but if the guys ahead of them fight, this could be absolutely perfect for the pair of them.
Indeed, back at the front then, Finn still leads the way then from Evo by 0.4 of a second, but again, the top 6 are all within each other. They're all about half a second in between, and they're just going to train out a little bit, and they're going to try and manage their tyres and try and go as long as possible on these super softs, because a lot of people in the chat are saying that these guys can do a one-stop if they pit for the medium tyres. So that's going to be intriguing if they can do it as well. And they've got to manage these rear tyres massively. So hopefully their setups are going to be made specifically for tyre saving on the rears. But wait and see. As Finn just has a little bit of a lockout at the last corner, we're going to jump on board with Evo down the start-finish straight. And is he going to get DRS? No, because it is activated this time by. So once they get to the back straight, the Evo will have the flap available to him to try and get past Finn here into turn 1. And Finn runs a little bit wide out of turn 1 there, but corrects it nicely for turn 2. But Evo's got a good run here, Matt, and you got to count him in this race as well. And also JD as well.
Yeah, certainly, you know, all 3 of these guys, well, so many drivers within a good shot of this race. But Finn at the moment, you know, we saw that little mistake down at turn 1. He's looking a tiny bit unsettled at the moment. You know, Evo might be, you know, rustling his feathers in the early stages of this race. But I think, you know, for these guys, you know, they need to keep it clean to kick this race off. You know, once they get to the end of their first stint, see what each other do opt in terms of strategies. Then they might try and, you know, really try and get the elbows out just that bit more. But JD is looking very, very handy right behind the pair of them. We saw him in the first race back in China. You know, he was able to pounce right when it really mattered, right, you know, when he felt at his most confident there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well for him in the end, but those first 10 laps of that race, he had an absolutely tremendous start to the race, you know, his first stint. And, you know, we could see a repeat of that here, you know, if Finn and Evo do, you know, cost each other time, you know, maybe just light up the rears just at that bit too much. But as we say that, looking behind Limitless, Leigh starting to drop off just a tiny bit. He's under pressure from Danny M7, and most notably Noble has really dropped off these top 5. You know, they sort of formed into 3 little groups now, if you will, with Noble by himself, and he's got Alonso that isn't too far behind him. And for me at the moment, Alonso is looking in the prime position to really try and pounce on this race.
Indeed, it's about 4, I'm going to guess about 4.5 seconds from Alonso to the race leader, so he's got a good chance here. I think the pit stops, you're going to lose about 24 seconds, I think, and there's an actual overtake in the background there of a McLaren. I'm not 100% sure who that was. I'm going to guess it's Icebergs, I think it is. No, it's not.
I think it's EP3 Murphy, if I'm not mistaken.
EP3 Murphy, and he did get overtaken, unfortunately, from Coldhead in the Williams, so he drops to 9th. But as you said, there's some good battling up and down this field. We would focus on the leaders, but there's some good action in this one as the Williams runs very wide and Murphy's going down the inside of Coldhead, and there's a little bit of contact between the two of them, and that's going to help the Red Bull trying around the outside going into the double left-hander. But EP3 Murphy back up there as the Williams locks up there, going very wide, and unfortunately he's going to lose a couple of positions there as another Red Bull loses it in the background there as well. So a little bit of a shaky one for these midfield runners, Matt, and obviously most of them, as you can see, are on the soft tyres, and they really don't need to be fighting with each other if they want to try and get up the field and try and get those valuable points to get into the qualifying positions.
Yeah, it's crucial, you know, for these guys at the moment. They've dropped back off the top few quite badly in the early stages, but, you know, they still want to be having as good battles as they possibly can still, you know, in this race. It's all about, obviously, it's about trying to get through into the semi-finals. You know, we want to see great racing. These guys want to also be having great racing as well, get themselves more experience at the moment. But ESR Ryan is now overtaking EP3 Murphy as he seemed to back out very early at that. Don't know if there's any issues for EP3 Murphy at the moment, or he just didn't really want to fight Ryan there. But for Ryan at the moment, on that set of the soft tyres, you know, he hasn't really probably got the start he would have needed, as, you know, STSF1 Alonso is quite far out the road at the moment, and he's probably the main guy that Ryan is racing right now.
Indeed, and he's got about 5 seconds to catch up to Alonso, as I'm just on board with him right now in that McLaren Honda, as he's not that far away from Noble. He's about 2.5 seconds away, and he's only about 6.2 from the race leader, so this is going to potentially work out beautifully for Alonso if he can keep it on the track, manage those soft tyres, and then once he pits for, I'm going to presume, a set of medium tyres, he's got it pretty good for this race. But we're going to head back up to the front of the barrel right now. We're on board with TRL Limitless in the Sauber, and he's I don't know if I've got an issue here, but he's revving it very highly in 6th gear. I'm not sure if that's an issue with the spectator cams, but I thought for a bit there he was burning some fuel at some point, destroying his engine very slowly there, Matt. A little bit worrying, but it might just be a little bit of a glitch there.
Yeah, I think it is just a tiny little bit of a spectator glitch. But yeah, certainly around this track, ruining the engine is definitely not what you want to be doing. Such a power crazy track almost, you know, you've got sort of 4, 5 even big long straights and acceleration zones around this circuit. All perfect for overtaking with the slipstream. But Finn is holding on at the moment. NLR Evo still right behind him, and JD is 1.1 seconds off the flying Finn at the moment. So this top 3 very close. Bamley seems to try and be reining it back in to the top runners at the moment, and Danny M7 looks to try to just about cling on to the top 5 for now. Going to be interesting to see when these top runners all do opt to make their first pit stops. It shouldn't be, you know, sort of 3, potentially 4 laps away now if they really try and push this set. But Danny locking up just a bit there as he goes down into the hairpin. Those tiny little mistakes in the long run can really cost you.
Indeed, you had a beautiful shot of the helicopter there of the circuit looking down on these guys, and from the overhead shot you can just see how close all these guys are in this top 6, you can say, at the minute. And these guys, I believe some of them may try and pit early here, just try and do a little bit of an undercut potentially, or some may go for the overcut. We do not know. We'll have to wait and see how aggressive they have been on their tyres to start off with, as Finn runs a little bit wide, and the back end slid out a tiny bit as he comes in towards the final corner, and I've got to say, Evo doing a good job. Obviously, I think he got second place. He's got to keep it very consistent there, and keeping it 2 second places there, and they're still going out there. No one's pitting just yet as they start lap 7 actually of this Grand Prix. No one coming in yet, which is a good sign for most of these guys. They want to try get to around about, I'm going to guess, lap 9, lap 10, around that sort of range on used super softs potentially, but we'll see if anyone can go longer than that, and that'll be pretty impressive, I've got to say, at the minute. Down the field, we'll look, a lot of you want to know where these guys are. They've started to spread out a little bit now, from EP3 Murphy downwards. They're all, basically, they've gone away from each other now from that battle they had at the minute, and I'm just going to go down the rest of the field. We see VBR Raikkonen had a great start, remember, as ghosting, unfortunately, so I believe he has an issue.
He has unfortunately disconnected.
He did disconnect.
Very, very unfortunately there. You know, he had a brilliant start, but yeah, unfortunately he did disconnect a couple of laps back, and I'm unable to invite him back. Knopels actually has opted, I think, to make his first pit stop of the race, though.
He did.
In P14 on the mediums there, so he might try to take them to the very end of the Grand Prix. Indeed.
We'll have to see if his strategy will work. We saw some people obviously pit early in China, and it did work for them in terms of track position. Obviously, there was rain involved in that one, so you can say that was a reason, but we'll see if anyone tries to jump each other in the pit stops in terms of when they go in, is the question. As the front fin still holding on to Evo at the minute. We're going to just follow the Ferrari, and this is very close. It's the closest he's been all race if Evo, as he gets to the DRS. It is a little bit more tricky to overtake with DRS, obviously with the new regulations, as well as we're getting just over 200 as he breaks into turn 1. We're going to just switch camera very quickly, but TRL Limitless still holding on to P3 at the minute, and Leigh still holding on as well, still 2.3 seconds behind. Noble just going backwards right now. He's 6.6 seconds off the race leader, and I've got to say Alonso only 1.7 seconds away from Noble right now, so I've got to say he's impressing me as Alonso on those soft tyres, keeping it consistent. He's not losing too much time to the race leaders, and definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, speaking of the soft tyres, Danny M7, the first of the top runners to move on to that set of the soft. So he is going for a 2-stop Grand Prix here. So that could really make or break his race if the others do end up having to go for that strategy as well. But he finds himself actually in about 5-6 seconds worth of clear air up ahead of him there, and a huge amount of clear air behind him as Coldhead is just going through turn 1. So this could be a blessing for Danny at the moment. We will have to wait and see. But I know it's very early to be talking about the point standings if they did finish in the positions they were, but in NRL Evo would it be just 1 point behind Leigh after the first 2 rounds. So at the moment he doesn't really need to try and make too many risky moves on the Finn. He can just try and sit behind him and apply the pressure for as long as he really needs. You know, he's got another good sort of 15 laps before, if he really wants to come out of this race with the championship lead, you know, he's got about 15 laps where he can just really sit behind Finn and just wait and see what does happen.
Indeed, it's all a long game, this one. All these drivers who did pretty well in the first race, they just need to think in their mindset right now. Okay, did a decent performance in the first race, keep it consistent, get some points on the board, and we'll be in a great shot of not having a lot of tasks going on in the last round, which I believe is in Suzuka next week. A beautiful track to end this little free race series as well on there. So hopefully Evo can solidify his position in the semi-finals with another good performance here. In second place as well. So again, as you said, he can take it easy here and stay behind the Flying Finn for now, and then make his charge on the last couple of laps of the Grand Prix potentially. You can say it for Limitless as well. This is a must. Well, he basically needs to be in the podium to stand a chance of getting through after not the greatest of performance, I've got to say, from TRL Limitless. I know he is a capable driver, winning a championship in AOR, and he's also won some races as well over the years as well, so he's definitely one on, and I'm pretty sure he's on a pad as well for this one, if I'm correct. I know he's got a wheel, but he's well known in the community as the pad man, so hopefully he can keep up to his standards tonight and see if he can hold on to that third place at the minute. And also you've got to say Bam Leigh as well, holding on in P4. He's still keeping 2.5 second gap to the leaders, so I'm just going to jump back on board with Evo and just see if these guys pit or not, Matt. So as the Flying Finn's in, he's the first one, and TRL Limitless goes in. So if you want to follow TRL Limitless for me, Matt, and now follow the Flying Finn. He's going on to a set of the medium tyres, so he's going all the way, potentially to the end of the Grand Prix as he goes out of the box.
Yeah, and JD is looking like he's going to go on to a set of the mediums as well as Leigh there, so all three of them opting to go. But JD has been jumped by Leigh in the pit stops there. JD will be absolutely mad with that one. So a little bit unfortunate that he's been caught out by that. Is maybe, you know, it would be massively frustrated as they probably came in and he probably felt he had a safe enough gap. But who has just come out ahead? Danny M7 has come out ahead of TRL Limitless here. So this has actually worked out quite nicely for Danny. But also I think one other driver we're going to have to watch out for now will be NLR Evo, as this, you know, he's got some clear air now in front of him. And he was really looking to pile on the pressure.
Indeed, and unfortunately for Flying Finn, as people can see on my screen, he has got KXMGXXSoKinKy ahead of him here, and he's got to get past him as soon as possible if he has a chance of trying to keep hold of his race lead. But Evo's in a great shot here of jumping most of the, well, basically the Flying Finn taking over the race lead actually as he's coming down towards the final corner. Then is he going to? He has to react, I feel. If he carries on, fair play to him if his tyres are keeping up normally. So we'll wait and see as he has a double lock up there going into the last corner. Surely he's going to be coming into the pits. He has to react, and he does indeed make his way in. He's got to be so careful here to get that limiter down to 50 miles an hour, and he does that easily there as the Ferrari mechanics are out. And what is he going on? He's going on to another set of mediums there. So the leaders going for the same strategy here, and it's a good stop from Ferrari. It is, and he's out and away as Alonso will carry on. Of course, he will lead the Grand Prix, and someone else has jumped ahead of him there. I'm not too sure who that was. I think it was ESR Ryan up into P2. And where is the Flying Finn is the question. He's coming down the straight, and I think, oh, he's actually just got ahead there of Evo there. So Evo just holding on there. There's a battle going on behind though. KXMGXXSoKinKy and Bam Leigh, and I think Bam Leigh's going to get the job done here on KXMGXXSoKinKy, who has not yet stopped, remember, in this Grand Prix. He's going to try and go down the inside. He does indeed, late on the brakes, and gets it done, and he moves up to P6 there. Crucially for these guys, the battle's back on again.
Yeah, importantly, you know, I think I was quite surprised, to be honest, that NLR Evo wasn't able to jump Finn there. Although, don't get me wrong, KXMGXXSoKinKy is fully entitled to fight for his position. He did get in the way of Finn just a bit, so it really does prove how, you know, OP potentially that the undercut can be on this game, as we see the EP3 Murphy in the McLaren make a little bit of a mistake as they go through the double right-hander.
Just got to come in quickly there, Matt. We've got TRL Limitless going side by side with Danny, and he's got KXMGXXSoKinKy as well. This is not a great position for KXMGXXSoKinKy to be on, as TRL Limitless goes down the inside and will move up to P7 as they're going to go side by side, Danny and also TRL Limitless, and he gets it done there. So crucially for Limitless, he's jumped up 2 positions, up to 7th, and now he can try and catch up to the likes of Bam Leigh, Evo, Murphy, and the Flying Finn.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, JD really the big loser from that situation. EP3 Murphy dives in the pit lane as NLR Evo almost seemed to be pushing him out through the final corner. But JD realistically has lost out on about, sort of talking about sort of 2-3 seconds here. Which really didn't cost him. Oh,
sorry to interrupt you there. Alonso was in the pits as well, and I believe here Murphy's got a penalty because he's been held for 5 seconds, which is going to hurt his chances here as he heads out of the pits there. So it's a double shuffle for McLaren. There is Alonso jumps onto a set of medium tyres as Murphy goes out on a set of soft tyres. So that is a bit frustrating there for Murphy to get a 5-second stop penalty right there. And of course the mechanics can't touch the car for 5 seconds before they can take the tyres off there. But that's a bit disappointing that for Murphy there. He looked pretty good for some points, but unfortunately he's down in 12th place now.
When it comes to penalties at the moment, we have just got 4 warnings, 1 for KXMGXXSoKinKy, 2 for Knopels, and 1 for Danny M7 at the moment. So all these guys, you know, keeping it between the lines very, very well at the moment. But it's interesting from Alonso because he's 24 seconds now off Flying Finn at the moment. So unless the top guys end up having to pit again, this is probably not actually worked out for Alonso like he would have imagined. Noble is about 10 seconds up the road now. So for Alonso, all these guys opting to attempt to do the one-stop may have really not helped him out. He probably wasn't expecting that from a lot of the top runners.
Indeed, I've got to say, ESR Ryan still is leading the Grand Prix, by the way, if anyone is interested. Again, he led in China, obviously with his different strategy, and again doing a stellar job in the Red Bull on the soft tyres, and he's managing to last them 13 laps as well, which is obviously a fantastic... If he can get them very long, obviously we saw some of the guys, what, 10 laps? I know it's not going to be possible to go onto a set of super softs after this for Ryan, so he's going to most likely go on to the mediums, and he will definitely be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix. My only question is if these leaders at the minute can hold on to those their medium tyres to the end of the Grand Prix is going to be a question. And if they need to, of course, they may have to go into super softs, but we'll wait and see as Evo really now close at the back of the Flying Finn. And this is going to be for the net race lead, remember, as Ryan has not yet made a pit stop, as we're about to approach half distance as well in this Grand Prix, Matt, and it's gone very quick.
Yeah, it has gone very, very quickly at the moment, and you know, I think that's sort of saved by the fact there hasn't been any big instance or anything. We haven't found anyone that is absolutely way off the back of the field. You know, it's been very, very tight all the way through, and NLR Evo, in my personal opinion, seems to be a bit more comfortable than the Flying Finn throughout the early stages of this race. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him try to mount a challenge if, you know, Finn does make a mistake, but I think, you know, between these two, it could become, you know, try and save the tyres right to the very end and then try to really pounce on each other. You know, for Finn, he might try and go for, you know, a 2-lap sprint and just try to break away as much as he possibly can. But for Evo, he is latched onto that gearbox at the moment.
Ryan is in the pits for his one and only pit stop. He's definitely going to the end on the medium tyres as he comes in. And he is away. And it's a good stop from Red Bull. And he's in the points. He's currently in P7. So if he gets some clean air, of course, as I think we're going to see a McLaren going past him now with Alonso, who we thought at the start of the race had a great shot of winning this Grand Prix, but at the minute, 17 seconds off the race leader right now. It doesn't seem like he's going to have a chance here, but he looked pretty good in China, so don't count him out just yet for maybe a top 5 finish. So we'll keep an eye on his progress as we've got another, what, 16 laps to go here. So plenty of time for these guys to make some positions up and down the field. And we'll see Ryan has popped out in P8 on his own in clean air on the set of mediums, as I mentioned there. We've got look down the rest of the field then. Ninth, we've got IceBergs in holding on as a Williams behind him. Calder just nearly loses the back end there, the Hungarian driver, and manages to save it though, so pretty good job. And he's on the soft tyres, so he will look to try and get ahead of IceBergs as quickly as possible, as obviously IceBergs on the slower tyre. EP3 Murphy down in 11th place. He will try to catch up on the soft tyres and try to get into the points. XXMGXxSoKinKy is also pitted there as he goes past the ghosted VBR Raikkonen, and he's in 12th place. And Knopels in the Sauber, still going on those mediums in 13th position.
But yeah, obviously, if there is anything that anyone wants to say about this series, don't forget to use the Twitter handle #F1 Esports as well. You know, we'll try and see as many as your guys' comments. But Evo is starting to pile on the pressure just that bit more to Finn at the moment. He thinks about going for a move down the inside into turn 1, both of them locking up. Finn running a tiny bit wide, so for Evo, that must just give him that bit of confidence that Finn knows he is on the charge now. And whether that forces Finn into a mistake, we will have to wait and see. You know, very, very experienced driver as Evo once again, you know, just gets that car halfway to the side of Finn. You know, just let him know he's there. Almost go for, you know, a little bit of a shuffle down the straight to see what Finn does make of it. But, you know, for these two at the moment, it's crucial that they try and keep it clean, because they've got Bamley, who's dropped off just a tiny bit, who, you know, he's in the perfect position at the moment. He's got the first race win, he's got the 25 points in the bag. He doesn't really need to risk too much in this race, but, you know, if these two come together, I'm sure, you know, there'll be no complaints from Leigh. Just, you know, take another 25 points home and basically, if I'm not mistaken, guarantee himself a place in the final.
Indeed, for him, it's a waiting game. Still 15 laps to go in this race. He can just take it easy, watch Evo and Finn battle it out, and if they make contact with each other, then he can just slip him down the inside and be like, thank you very much for taking each other out. I'll take that lead and win the Grand Prix as well. And we're going some nice, we're going to go through some tweets quickly as well. Detox has said he's very impressed with NLR, well, the man on your screen right there, Evo, in that Ferrari. He says he's very impressed. Max Reed, very funnily, put a tweet out going, when myself keep saying you can't one-stop from super softs, this is just from my basis of last night's PC evaluation race that I did on there, where most of the field did 2 stops in my race. So I do apologise if everyone thinks it's definitely a 1-stop. So let's say it is possible. I'll say it for you guys. Right. right there. But make sure to get involved with the hashtag F1 Esports if you want to get a shout out during the broadcast as well, and give your thoughts on who you're supporting tonight, as we get a brilliant shot here from the helicopter of this brilliant circuit here, and the battle between Evo and Finn gets even more intensifying as the gap is dropped to 2.5 tenths here, Matt, and Evo has to try, if he really wants to, make a move as he gets very close to the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah, he's almost pushing that Mercedes through the first couple of corners. But interesting, you know, on a bit of a side note, you know, we've got Ferrari versus Mercedes fighting for the race victory in here. So some things, you know, are even more similar to the real-life Formula 1 than I think any of us would have ever expected. But for NLR Evo at the moment, he is still looking very, very confident. 13 and a bit laps to go in this Grand Prix. And Finn, you know, both of these guys must just be sweating buckets right now. But just a little bit of talk about Limitless. You know, he's slowly but surely closing back down the gap to these top runners at the moment. He's probably now about 1.8 seconds behind Leigh, so he's closer to Leigh than Leigh is to the front two at the moment. So this is starting to get very, very interesting, and maybe we could see all of them close each other down. Indeed, maybe Limitless' strategy is to back off a little bit, get in some tiny bit of clean air, save the tyres, and then make his charge, as he lost 2 tenths in the last second to the race leaders. He's now just shy of 4 seconds off the lead. And you've got Danny as well on his own there in P5. And he's slowly catching up to Limitless. Not by much, but he's catching him slowly. He is on the soft tyres, is Danny M7 compared to JD's mediums. And Noble, well, we haven't really mentioned in this Grand Prix, in P6, and he's just minding his own business at 9.2 seconds off that. And I'm very surprised he's down this pecking order. I would have thought he would have been up there fighting with the Flying Finn, Limitless and co as well. So I'm very surprised that he's down there, Matt. I'm pretty surprised. Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's not made any easier with such a high caliber of racers, because, you know, in most of, you know, the last 2 seasons we've seen on the Xbox side of things, if you were 10 seconds off Flying Finn, you would still be most likely sort of P2 or P3 in the race. But Noble, 10 seconds behind and down in P6, that really just shows how competitive this series is at the moment. And it's not really been, well, you know, anything can happen still within the final 12 laps of this race, but certainly, especially after China as well, it's not really been the start, and not really what any of us expected from Noble. I've got to say, Finn's pulled out a little bit of a gap there. He's just shy of a second, which would mean that Evo would not get DRS, but he's just in with 9 tenths of a second, so he will just get the DRS just. And see if he's going to close the gap down. We'll see what it is as he crosses the line. It's now just over a second, but the detection zone was before the final corner, so he did get that just about. As he just goes through there. A little bit of a lock-up, but takes it cleanly as well. And we'll see where TRL Limitless is. He's now 4.1 seconds. He's lost another 2 tenths to our race leader, the Flying Finn, right there. And again, he will try to play a bit conservative, then make his charge right there. Leigh holding on P3, I've got to say. He looks set to secure potentially his spot. If he, I think if he wins the race, he has a really good chance he could just finish like 10th or something in the last round to get through. We do not know exactly what the current standings are as it is right now with positions, but you've got to say Lee's in a very strong position to definitely secure a spot in the semi-finals, Matt, in London. Yeah, you know, he's looking very, very good. But just a little bit of talk about Flying Finn. The last 4 laps he's done have all been quicker than the one before that. So he started lap 14 with a 1 minute 32.2. Then he went to a 1 minute 32.1, a 1 minute 31.8, and now a 1 minute 31.6. And he's going even faster this lap. So he's really now trying to, you know, try and sprint away from Evo right when he least expects it. Finn, it's just something he's able to do, just bring out that extra half a second from the pocket and just try and absolutely push now and try and get away from Evo over the next couple of laps, and it seems to be working at the moment. Evo is dropped about half a second from him in these last couple of laps, so it has taken him by surprise, it seems, or maybe, you know, he's just been hiding that bit of pace from the rest of the drivers, and now it's looking like Finn is putting himself in an even stronger position. Indeed. Just want to give a shout out to Matt, who's very nicely looking at the race director to give us the time, the lap times of all the drivers. So thank you, Matt, for that. On Twitter, Krista, I think I got this right, Krista H is currently watching this in work in the United States of America. So it's great to see all across the world people are coming to watch this esports qualifying race as well. So massive shout out to him as well.
Also, we've got Saku in there saying what a sick battle between Evo and the Flying Finn as well. So keep those hashtags going in, guys. It is F1 Esports if you want to get a shout out during the broadcast as well. And potentially, we may have a Driver of the Day vote as well, so you guys can vote for who you just think deserves it this week here in Bahrain. But I've got to say, Flying Finn's doing a stellar job. We'll go on board with him for now and just show you how aggressive he's taking it through this middle sector here. He's taking it very cautiously, 5th gear, as I mentioned. Don't be running too wide there, because if you go on that curve, you will spin it. So he's taking it very clean there, Matt, I've got to say, on there. And the gap between him and Evo is over 1 second. Now it's 1.1, and it's now hammer time, as Mercedes would say to Hamilton. But in terms of this, Finn is definitely now on the hammer. He's going for it.
Yeah, can we say it's Finn time now, potentially? I'm not 100% too sure. I think the right way to describe it is he is absolutely flying at the moment. He's now, well, his fastest lap of the race right there. That is absolutely incredible to see. NLR Evo is just over a second back now, so he's starting to drop back just a bit. Bamley, 2 seconds back from Evo ahead of him now, and JD, he's down to 1.3 behind Leigh, so maybe this is his chance to pounce.
Indeed, that Sauber driver wants to go on the podium, and I've got to say, Knopels still on his own there in P5, 10.5 seconds off the lead. Then we've got Alonso, who we both thought had a great shot of a podium today, is 17.3 seconds away. I'm thinking he's hoping that the top 5 pit, but I don't think they will. We'll have to wait and see. Ryan in P7 in the Red Bull, 25 seconds off the race leader. Then we've got Coldhead, who's holding on to the back of Danny, who's actually made a pit stop. His second pit stop there onto the medium tyres. He's going to go down the inside of the Williams of Coldhead, and he's going to get it done. It's going to be very close, this one, and there's been a little bit of contact, I believe, there. Coldhead loses it, but Ryan goes up to P8 there. So we'll have to wait and see if there may be a stewards inquiry with that one. We'll have to wait and see, as Icebergs in the Toro Rosso holds on to that final points-paying position. And because of the issues that Coldhead had with Danny, Icebergs could get 9th here.
Yeah, it could be very, very good. 2 points for these guys. Probably, to the top guys may not be so, useful. But, for some of these guys, it's almost bragging rights between them and their friends as well. So brilliant to see, that although maybe they might not be fighting at the front, it's all about having a good bit of racing action as well. But Finn, once again, going even faster. This is the pace that is really, really just proving why he is a double AOR champion. He is just starting to gap Evo just that tiny bit more at the moment. So this is fantastic to see from Flying Finn. And I think, obviously, if there isn't action going up and down the field, this is the car you want to be on board with. This is, the box seat, I think, if you will.
Indeed, and I jumped on board with TRL Limitless as both him and Bamley had a little bit of an issue with a ghosted Toro Rosso, which has actually helped JD close the gap to the Renault driver. And a lot of people supporting TRL Limitless tonight in the chat. We've got Michael X999, we've got Michael also rooting for TRL Limitless tonight. So your man is currently P4, and he's not that far away. He's about 1.2 seconds behind Bamley. So we're going to just come off the onboard shot there, but you can see the 4 drivers, the top 4, all in one shot there, Matt. Any one of these 4 could win it. You never know what can happen with less than 9 laps, or 8.5 laps to go here.
Yeah, all these guys still within a shot if there is contact made between 2 of them maybe, or anything like that. But just give another quick update on the times. Obviously, we've seen Finn lighting up the timing sheets, but NLR Evo is still very, very quick. He set his personal best of a 1 minute 31.6 last lap. Unfortunately, lap 20 was a 1 minute 31.8, so he dropped a tiny bit of time there, but he's almost trying to fight back against the Finn's surge of pace at the moment, and it seems just about, he's holding in there. And if, Finn's tyres do end up really struggling right at the very end, this could still be a very, very good shot for Evo. He's bringing it back ever so slightly, but at the moment it just seems like Finn has so much pace that I don't think any of us really expected to see.
Indeed, and a little bit of a maybe some team orders potentially here from Sauber. Bamley's got 1 Sauber ahead of him, and he's got 1 behind, so he's in the Sauber sandwich right now. So maybe TRL Limitless could pray that his teammate for this race can maybe help him out a little bit. He is a lap down, is Knopels, so we'll wait and see. He's come out on the, I think he's on the super soft tyres, so he's going to maybe get into some bother really with these leaders of Evo and maybe the Flying Finn if his pace really picks up there. So he's going for the 2-stop, is Knopels, and let's see if he's going to get past Evo and Flying Finn here, which could maybe bring Leigh and Limitless back into contention here. We will have to wait and see, as we've only got, what, 7.5 laps to go here, so anything can happen. The gap's 1.5 seconds for Evo to catch up to the Flying Finn. And I don't know if you can see it as well, Matt, but Evo just came out of yellow fuel there, which means he must have been burning a lot of fuel, because he must be trying to start. He's actually gone back in again. He's really going for it. He wants to close that gap down. He's actually got it down to under a second there, so he's back in DRS contention.
Yeah, he's really pushing now. With the DRS as well, that gives me a tiny bit of a boost. And although obviously we want to see as much action as we possibly can, we sort of hope, if Evo is being able to bring it back, we sort of hope that Knopels does sort of stay behind him for a little bit to see what does happen. But yeah, as you were saying, Evo really pushing it on the fuel at the moment. This could be very tight, and obviously, unfortunately, we can't see how much Flying Finn has left in the pocket right now. But this could be very interesting. Evo having to go as all-out aggressive as he possibly can, but surely, you know, there's got to be a touch of conservatism from him at the moment, as he is, if the race finished like it is now, he'd still only be, what, sort of 4 points behind Leigh at the top of the standings, and he really doesn't need to push much more than that at the moment. Just get that top 3 slot, and he is good.
The issue he's got, though, you can definitely see it on the screen right now, he's got a very fast Sauber behind him on the Super Softs. He does not want him to get ahead. Knopels does not want to be in front of him, because there could be a little bit of controversy going on right there. If I was him, I would definitely just stay behind Evo and just back out and not ruin this battle we've got, because actually Evo, as you can see, is now only 6 tenths behind the Flying Finn, and this could get very tasty. He's lost 3 tenths though in that middle sector. Maybe a bit of pressure now starting to build on Evo, and actually Knopels, I think, is going down. No, he's not. He's backed out of it there. For a second, he would go for it, but he's staying behind him for now. And apparently he's got no helmet on, actually, so that's a little bit of a weird thing to see that for a Sauber, I've got to say. And Knopels may potentially get past him here, which will ruin Evo's chances here if he gets past. And he has every right to do so, Knopels. He wants to unlap himself, and actually he's going for it. Is he going to go for it into turn 1? Nope, he's going to back out of it there. But surely he would like to get past these guys and unlap himself. And but it's going to make this race interesting now, I've got to say.
Yeah, he's definitely going to add an extra element to this race, if you will, at the moment. And if he can only get past NLR Evo, then that might cause him even more issues. But if he can get past the pair of them, then this could really spice this race up just that little bit more than I think any of us would have expected there. But Finn, he's sort of built that gap a bit, sort of was there, like, show me what you're made of to Evo. And Evo has responded very well there. Knopels making a tiny bit of a mistake, but Evo at the moment must be going absolutely mad at Knopels behind him, because even if he's not trying to go for moves, just having that, you know, the little arrows behind you, get closer and closer and then further away again must just be so off-putting. And although there's nothing you can do about it, Knopels is fully entitled, as you said, to try and go for a move if he feels, that he is the much faster car. It can't be, Evo is very much in a rock and a hard place at the moment, surely.
Indeed, we'll go back down the field, because I know a lot of you would like to see that. We don't go on Murphy, unfortunately. I do apologise to him if he's watching this back, of course. But we're going to go on aboard with Alonso here. In P6, he's actually gained a little bit on the leaders. It's 17 seconds, but of course, he's got, he needs a miracle really to get up any more positions. He's about 7 seconds away from Noble right now. And again, Noble is about 6 seconds away from TRL Limitless right now, as he's very close now. Well, he's not that... He's just outside the DRS range now, actually, on Leigh. So maybe JD's going to try and save a little bit of fuel and then make a charge in the last 5 laps right there. But back to Twitter, we've got Big Shot Player, a veteran of AOR, is saying he's greetings from Greece. What a great battle we're watching for the victory. Indeed, it is Big Shot. We could go all the way down to the wire here. But again, please make sure if you want to get involved with the discussion, use the hashtag F1 Esports if you want to get involved with this broadcast tonight, and we'll give you a shout out during the broadcast as well, as I've probably said that about more times there. Bad commentator right there. And I don't know if you can see it, Matt, but Finn's fuel light is going yellow and off again, so he's doing the same thing really as Evo can do, but we've just got to keep an eye on these top 4. Battle for the lead and battle for the final podium position. It is going to get very interesting as we come on now to the start of lap 26. It's going to get interesting here.
Yeah, it's going to hopefully get very spicy right at the end of this race. Knopels now, who was a bit of a worry just a couple of laps back, has very much dropped off the back of NLR Evo at the very front. But Limitless he's down to just 1.1 behind Leigh, so he has closed in just over a 10th so far this lap, and this is absolutely brilliant to see from the pair of them. But, you know, hopefully we can have a bit of a battle, excuse me there, right at the very end of this Grand Prix between these two. You know, for Leigh, he probably doesn't need to worry too much about a couple of points. You know, if he's going to risk having a bit of an incident or something, he probably, you know, might let JD through. But on the other side of it, JD probably needs as many points as he can get right now.
Indeed, we'll just quickly go down the field. Obviously, we've seen the top 6. We've got Ryan here in P7, 30 seconds off the lead, as he's going to try and bring it home for another decent performance in the points, which is good. He's got a bit of a worry, though, because Danny's catching him very slowly. It's about, I'm going to guess, about 3.1 seconds between the two of them. And Danny would like to try and get back into the top 7. We've got IceberGs in 9th comfortably now, as XXMGXxSoKinKy in 10th place. About a couple of seconds behind those two, so it could get very tasty between them two. And then in 11th, we've got Coldhead, who's going to try and make a recovery on the super soft tyres and see if he can get at least a point on the board for him. But we're coming on then, what, to nearly 4 laps, well, actually now 4 laps to go in this one. And Finn's starting to build up a bit of a gap again. The gap is 8 tenths of a second. We'll see what it's going to be right now. It is 9 tenths of a second, so he's gained about 8/100ths over Evo in the middle sector right there. And Evo's just got to get every trick in the book out right now if he's going to have a chance of winning. His fuel light's on again, so we've got to keep an eye on that if he's going to run out of fuel or not. But it's going to be very marginal on the fuel, Matt, wouldn't you say? Because this track is very juicy for the fuel.
Yeah, obviously a huge amount of acceleration zones on this circuit, especially, you know, very, very long acceleration zones as well. But one other thing I would sort of want to mention is Knopels at the moment. You know, it looked a couple of laps back maybe that he could hassle the front two, but perhaps we could see him hassle Leigh and JD, like you said earlier on. Maybe a little bit, you know, of team strategies coming into play. You know, I doubt JD will be talking to him right now, but you never know what might be happening. But if Knopels makes a bit of a mistake, then maybe he could get in the way of Leigh a bit. You know, Leigh would certainly not be happy with that. But Knopels, he's done quite well, you know, being caught up in between these guys. Oh, you were talking something?
Yeah, he just ran a little bit wide, though, so I think his super softs are about to maybe blow up on him, the term of a puncher. That looked a little bit off there, but I've got to say Evo's closed the gap down to 6 tenths of a second. He's not giving up just yet of a chance of winning a race in this F1 Esports Series right now, and he's going to give it everything he's got to try and win this race. And it's basically between the top two, second race in a row, Matt. This is what we want to see for the Xbox leagues again, living up to high standard again.
Yeah, they're all, you know, all these guys are so quick. You know, it's easy to say that, you know, Noble, one of the best ever races we've seen, he's down in P5 again. You know, it really does show how quick so many of these guys are in this series. Now, all of these drivers very quick, you know, within sort of the top 1% of the Xbox players on this game. But Leigh and JD, just give a little update on the gap. The gap is still just 1.1 seconds. So if JD, okay, he's actually got DRS there, sorry, so he is within 1 second at the detection point.
Evo nearly into the back of the Flying Finn, but this is the closest he's ever been right now between the basically the battle for the win here. And Evo's very close, and this is the closest he's ever been, and this is a great opportunity with 2 laps to go. Can we see a last lap overtake that we saw on the PC side last week in China? Are we going to have 2 for 2 last lap overtakes? We'll see. If you want to just keep an eye on the battle for JD for a minute, Matt, that would be fantastic, and we may jump over across there. But the gap here, the closest we've seen so far in this Grand Prix, just shy of 2 tenths of a second between the two of them. And we've got a ghosted Toro Rosso, which is not going to help the Flying Finn out, especially through that double left-hander, and avoid, well, thankfully the Toro Rosso is a ghosted car, so both of them can get through cleanly, as you can see right there. And you've got to say Knopels is doing pretty good well to hold on to those super softs, and he's keeping a gap to JD and Bam Leigh, so I don't think he's going to have a say in the battle between there, as the Flying Finn runs very wide out of the corner and just lost the back end a tiny bit there. But this is the battle right now, and is Evo going to try and go for a lunge in turn 1 on the DRS straight? We'll have to wait and see as they both start the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Who's your money on, Matt? I have no idea who to go for, as Evo has the DRS here. Is he going to get it done, Matt? We're about to find out. He's going to go around the outside potentially. Is Evo? They're going to go side by side, but Finn holds him off, brilliantly defending right there, and this is going to get very tasty, Matt.
Yeah, certainly. Finn having to park it on the apex of turn 2 there, just to try and hold on to any sort of advantage as he has at the moment. Evo goes for a little bit of a cheeky dummy there through turn 4, and Finn, Evo, sorry, just makes a tiny bit of a mistake out of turn 4. He'll have another shot with the DRS, and then a brilliant chance down in towards the final corner of this whole entire Grand Prix. To update you on the Limitless situation, when I last checked, oh, Limitless has actually dropped back. He's got a puncture, does TRL Limitless there. Absolute shocker for him. Noble moves up into P4 of the Grand Prix, but as we said, you know, these guys had to watch the rear tyres there, and Limitless,
he's lost it. He's lost it.
He's completely lost it, but I think, you know, we need to focus still on the 2 race leaders, because this could happen to the pair of them as well. You know, Evo has that 1 lap advantage on the tyres at the moment, but Finn, he pitted on exactly the same lap as JD, so his tyres could go at any single moment as they move on to the final couple of corners of this Grand Prix here. Will Evo be able to get a very good run down in towards the final couple of corners of this Bahrain Grand Prix? He thinks about it, tries to get as close as he possibly can. Down in towards, through the final corner they go, and now down towards the line. Finn starting to celebrate just a bit there, but Evo still with the DRS, but Finn comes through to win the Bahrain Grand Prix there, and immediately runs out of fuel straight as he crosses the line.
Fair play to Finn. He needed that crucial win for his hopes of qualifying. Noble comes home in 4th, with Bamley coming home in 3rd position, as we see Alonso coming home in P5, which will help him in his quest to qualify for the semi-finals. A great one. He goes into the wall. He's happy with that, as he has a great crash there down the front straight, which of course we don't want to see, of course, as Ryan comes home in P6, as he's done a pretty stellar job as well to get that one across the line. As we're just seeing Kinky, he's got a battle actually with Coldhead, and he's going to try and hold on for P8 here, so this could get tasty potentially, with only 1 corner to go. Kinky's about to run out of fuel potentially. Hopefully he's saved enough fuel to get over the line. It's going to be very close. We're going to jump on board with Coldhead, and he's going to just miss out on P8 right there, and the Icebergs will come home, and he's going to get 10th place as he's ghosting, unfortunately, so he had a little bit of issues there, and he's happy with that. He gets 1 point on the board, and EP3 Murphy comes home in 11th place there. But what a race that was to showcase once again, and the Flying Finn, I've got to say, start to finish, brilliant drive.
Yeah, absolutely incredible from him. I would say, you know, just really show the pace that we used to see back on F1 at 2016 as well. So absolutely incredible from Finn. And although, you know, some of these guys have still got places thanks to the other esports qualifier events, they'll still want, you know, even for bragging rights for some of these guys, they'll want to try and prove that they are the very best in AOR right now. And Finn, we've said it so many times before in the past, he has once again been able to win a race.
Indeed, as the champagne flies, the Mercedes boys, look at them, they're happy for Finn to get a victory here. But let's take you through the final classifications then for race 2 of the Esports Series, and the Flying Finn wins by only just shy of 0.2 of a second there from Evo, with Bamley holding on to P3, with Noble at one point was down, in 7th place, gets home in 4th with Alonso. We thought he would be out of it for a chance of a top 5, but he does get P5, with ESR Ryan in 6th place, with Danny in 7th, Kinky in 8th, Coldhead in 9th, and Icebergs will complete the top 10. And TRL Limitless there in 12th place there, DNFing from the Grand Prix, unfortunately. So that's a shame to see, but that's what happens, and you just take too much aggression and you just get a puncher. And we did mention the rear tyres would have a massive say on this one, Matt, and it's unfortunate, but I feel now JD has got it all to do if he has a chance of getting through to the semi-finals now.
Yeah, mathematically, if I'm not mistaken, JD, I don't actually think has a chance at making it through into the semi-finals. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Leigh will have 40 points, Evo will have 36. So unless Alonso as well will, Finn will have 33. So JD has got a tiny chance now making it through into the finals, and he will be absolutely gutted with that result. I think, you know, unfortunately, he retired right at the very end. Not too sure what that was about, whether he did bin the car or what. But yeah, JD will be gutted in the end. You know, it was looking so good right until the very last lap.
Indeed, and we hope to get some drivers in, potentially. But right now, we would love to hear what you guys say in the chat, who your driver of the day is right now. But also make sure to keep tweeting us at hashtag F1 Esports for a final shout out there. But for us, Matt, who would you say, in your opinion, deserves driver of the day? There's quite a few contenders, I've got to say, tonight.
I'm going to have to go with Finn, you know, that 5-lap stint about an 8-lap stint even, where he just managed to go quicker and quicker and quicker repeatedly, just really, really proves, you know, why he is still a force to be reckoned with. He just finds that extra half a second, he just pushes to the absolute limit right when he needs to, and he's one of those drivers that can just keep it right there, and at the end of the day, I think really that's what won in that race.
And I have to agree with you as well. Finn, for me, just as you said, his pace consistently bringing fastest laps as he go along. His defending was brilliant, I've got to say, against Evo. Evo, you can say, had a great shot. He will be happy with P2, another consistent there in the top 3 there. So he's most likely going to be securing a spot unless he completely bottles the last race in Suzuka, which we obviously don't want. The chat at the minute, there's a mixed range of drivers. We've got Evo, we've got obviously Finn, we've got Knopels as one apparently in the chat. We've got Ryan again. Someone's put Ben, even though he didn't race today, of course. But hopefully we can speak to the Flying Finn at some point, because he did mention to us that he may try and get in there. But before we get anyone there, I want to give a shout out to Codemasters, especially Leigh Maver, who's in the chat right now, who has basically put this on for us. And want to give a massive shout out to him and to like Dan from AOR, who made this possible, along with F1 as well. So it's a great chance for us to showcase the best racers on Xbox One to all of you in the chat as well. And again, Xbox One setting the high standard again, Matt, once again.
Yeah, the other 2 platforms definitely going to have a lot to compete with if they want to, you know, have the best race of the week. But last week they really, really delivered. For those of you that didn't watch them, I would highly, highly recommend going back and checking out their 2 races as well. But hopefully, you know, for those of you that aren't aware, tomorrow night will be the PC race with King Kodiak and everyone's favourite Fake Ghost Pirate. And then we will have Thursday will be HRL KV and Ali K, so on the PS4. So certainly, you know, if you guys didn't know about those 2 races, they will obviously want to check them out for even more brilliant, brilliant AOR action.
Indeed, and in terms of the Xbox, the final race and the final opportunity for drivers to get through to the semi-finals is at a great track to finish it off. Suzuka, famous for classic championship deciders, like 1996, Damon Hill winning it there, Schumacher winning the first championship for Ferrari in quite a long time in 2000. And it's a great way to end the season with a fantastic track, which will be again at the same time, same place on AOR Fizzy's YouTube channel at 8 o'clock UK time. And I don't think we're going to get anyone, Matt, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. So I want to say a massive thank you to all of you in the chat once again for coming out tonight for this latest round. And of course, and a massive shout out to Matt as well for co-commentating alongside me, and also providing the race director throughout the race as well, Matt. So massive thank you to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you as well to Ryan as well for obviously being the lead commentator. Sorting out. Oh, you said all.
We have some interviewers. We have both Bamley and the Flying Finn right now, and hopefully we can hear from them. I'm going to bring them down very quickly. Thank you to Fizzy. A shout out to Fizzy Fan for letting me know. We'll bring them both in right now. Let's try and get them in. They've got their mics muted, so I think they're very excited to be in here. We're just bringing them in. So hopefully they can talk, or frantically trying to get the microphones working. We've got Finn. We have Finn in the chat. We have got him in the room. We're just waiting for him to get his microphone working, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can speak to them potentially. I know a lot of you would love to hear from our race winner today, but it doesn't seem like his microphone's working. So hopefully, we'll see if. Yeah, people want to see TRL Limitless. I don't think he wants to be in the commentary getting interviewed right now after what happened, transpired on that last lap there, Matt. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get at least one of these 2 drivers in for an interview. I think they're just frantically trying to get their microphones working. Whenever we see one of them microphones cleared, we will bring them in. So hopefully, we've got Flying Finn just here, just waiting for him ready. But Matt, who'd you say is your top 3? If you had to pick between 3 drivers right now to say, yep, they're going through, who would you go for?
I think, based on the points alone, I'm probably going to have to go with Leigh just because he's in the strongest position at the moment. 40 points out of a possible 50 is looking very, very competitive. You know, he's done everything he needed to. Perhaps, you know, he might have been a little bit annoyed that he wasn't able to take home the race victory, but it's been said so many times before, you can't win them all. But he'll be looking very, very strong. Finn, obviously, in the Discord chat right now as well. Obviously, after that win, we'll have a huge amount of momentum coming into the final round. And NLR Evo, after 2 second places, could we see him take home a race victory at Suzuka next time out? We can only hope.
And we've actually, I think we just heard Finn for the first time. Finn, are you there?
Hello?
There he is. We have the Flying Finn right now in the commentary booth right now. And Finn, first and foremost, a very crucial win for you tonight and a stellar job as well. Just talk us through how it felt having a guy like Evo on you for most of that race. How did that feel?
It was a lot of pressure. It really was. And to be honest, if I had to pick driver of the day, it would be him because he was putting a lot of pressure on. And at some point, I had a 1.6 second gap, and once I made that mistake, 10.9 on the downhill left, he was all over me once again, and it was incredibly hard to like just pull away from him. So massive, massive shout out to him. He did a really good job.
Matt, have you got anything?
I was just going to ask, you know, going into that final couple of laps, obviously, as you said, he was all over the back of you. Down to turn one, it looked potentially like he could get a run. Did you think at any point on that final couple of laps that he was going to get you, or did you think, you know, I've got this under control, this is my race win?
To be completely honest with you, because I've never raced the guy, I didn't know what to expect. So as soon as like the first, I don't know, 15, 20 laps, I was just testing him, seeing if he's actually going to go for moves like that. Because at some point, because the first 10 laps, he had that same range. And he didn't go for it. Like when he was like 3, 4 tenths, he wouldn't go for it, even though it was close enough to throw a dive. But I knew like when it came to the last few laps, I have to defend. If he gets close like that, he will throw it. Because if I was him, I'd do it as well. Because it's the last lap, you'd do it. But yeah, it was never under control. At one point, it was under control when I had the gap, 1.6 or whatever. But after that, no chance. It was all over me. One mistake, and that was it.
Indeed, and of course that was a big win for you because it really helps you with a chance of getting through to the semi-finals. Of course, we believe that you've, in terms of the the public one that people can go for, you're in that anyway. So, if I'm correct, is that true?
Yeah, I think if I don't get top 3 here, I still qualify through the Italy event. But to be honest, this is just like good practice, to be honest, and it's great to race against good drivers like Leigh, Evo, like Limitless. It's just, yeah, even Brother Alonso, he was unlucky today, but yeah, it's great to race. Like I'm still giving 100% in these races because it's good practice, and you want to get decent feedback on the event.
Indeed, and we're going to wrap it up there. So, Finn, do you want to give a shout out to anyone or anyone in the chat right now watching this and who have supported you tonight? There's quite a few of them tonight rooting for you, so the floor is yours, mate.
Oh, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for streaming. I'm going to watch it back for sure. Hopefully, I believe it's a good one. And shout out to all the fans, really, not just my fans, obviously, especially my fans, but shout out to all fans for watching. Thank you to AOR, thank you to Fizzy, thank you to Wycom's Dan, or like AOR to get this chance to represent or just host these races is amazing, and it shows how big they've come. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thanks to everyone for watching, and thanks to you guys as well.
Well, we really do appreciate that, Finn. But we'll see you next week, of course, at Suzuka, and hopefully you can go 2 for 2 again. Thank you, Finn, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Who's moving in? Oh, we may have Bam Leigh potentially. He has got microphone issues, but I'm just gonna give him a chance. Dan's Mr. AOR himself. Dan's trying to help out Bam with this microphone. But if we can't, then I think we're gonna wrap it up there, Matt, for this one. So for the second time, next race is Suzuka, the last round of the championship on this channel at AOR Fizzy, and I've just got a message from Dan. Nope. No good. Okay. Dan's basically confirmed to me that we won't have it up. So Matt, do you want to take us out for this one?
Oh, yeah, I think... Thank you, everyone, so much, obviously, for once again coming out to watch these streams. You know, the support, I think, to be honest, for both of us is absolutely mind-blowing. How many people are interested in this series. And you can see why with racing like that. It's not often you get races that are right down to the wire so frequently. It is absolutely brilliant. And we all hope, you know, that you guys do watch all the other streams, you know, PC and PS4 as well as our own streams. And obviously, as Ryan said, we will be back. You do not want to miss it. 8 PM BST next Tuesday night for the Japanese Grand Prix. Going to be interesting to see what does happen. But hopefully, you know, we all do see you there. Thank you so much for Ryan for once again being a brilliant person to commentate. So thank you to all the guys over at F1, all the guys over at Codemasters, and everyone at AOR for making this opportunity possible for the pair of us as well. And hopefully, as you said, we will see you all next week at Japan.
Indeed. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow for the PC and Thursday for the PS4. Just thought I mentioned that one out there, give them a little cheeky plug. But until then, guys, have a great night wherever you're doing, and we'll see you next time on the Xbox One at Suzuka next week. Take care, everybody, and have a good day.